What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 7. Of Striking a Chord on TBK Radio. I am Manda. With me, as usual, is our wonderful producer, Rich. And joining us, second-time repeat guest, Miss Annie Deneen from Shotgun Seats.
Woo! Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks for coming back.
Oh my god, always.
Not gonna lie, guys, I've been looking forward to this episode because it means that we finally got the Rob Thomas album. Something that anyone who's been listening knows we've been looking forward to for a while,
I
while now.
have a story about that album, but I'm not telling it yet.
Uh-oh. We're waiting until feature segment?
Yep.
So our feature segment today is we are going to be reviewing in depth the new Rob Thomas album, Chip Shoot Smile. And also we're going to be digging into his solo catalog, his 3 previous records before Chip Shoot Smile. So that is going to be fun. Before we get into Rob Thomas, though, boy, do we have a ton of new music alerts. Oh, my goodness. We were just talking about this off air before. There was so much new music released last Friday on April 26th. I literally felt like I was listening to music all day long just to get through everything.
I think you were.
See, we talked about this last time I was on, but I always struggle with this because I find something I like and then I listen on loop. And it was only a weekend.
Yeah, it was really hard, to not hit. And granted, I had the Rob Thomas on repeat, but I had a few times, I had to turn it off so I could get through other stuff. But it was really hard not to just listen to the Rob Thomas all weekend.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll start with, since it's probably the biggest piece of new music that came out, the Taylor Swift single, which featured Brendan Urie from Panic at the Disco.
Swoon.
About which of them?
Yes. Yes.
So I don't know how many of you listening, if you are a diehard Taylor Swift fan or if you just didn't care at all, but there was some of us who chose to stay up all night until 11 p.m. Central Standard Time, or some of us went to bed at 9 and then set an alarm just to wake up at 11 to watch the video and then go back to sleep.
We're representing all sectors of the population then, because to be completely upfront now as opposed to later, I still haven't heard it.
Oh my goodness. I'm surprised you've been able to avoid it, to be honest with you.
That one's going to be hard.
It's just been everywhere.
Well, to be real, I saw a tweet to that effect, and I was like, I'm going to see how long it can hold out now. So it's just a waiting game. I'll let you know.
So now you're almost at a week. That's not bad.
Yeah, right? At this point, I might have a shot at avoiding, although, I don't know. I mean, if it's anything as ubiquitous as Game of Thrones, then I'm going to see it everywhere. So
I'll be so glad when Game of Thrones is over. I've never seen an episode in my life. Don't care to. I'll be so glad when that show is over with. People can talk about something else.
Amen.
Sorry for everyone who listens to our other shows. That's our bread and butter.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. But so the Taylor Swift song is really good. I'm not going to lie. It's catchy. It's very theatrical, which I think is why she probably had Brendan from Panic at the Disco on the song. He's got that voice that's it's meant for theater. Probably why I'm not a big fan of his voice, because I'm not a theater person. So I would there's probably a long list of other people I'd rather see her collaborate with. But I mean, if his voice fits the song, so I mean, it's a good song. It definitely got people's attention. She has sent fans down a friggin' rabbit hole, though.
No comment.
Oh my god!
I feel like a lot of people.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I feel like a lot of people were disappointed that it wasn't a country album.
Yeah, I think people were kind of skeptical, wondering what direction she was gonna go with. But there's also still hope. I think we're gonna get. Again, this is total theory, but I think we're going to get a pop rock album, to be honest with you, because she keeps making references to previous albums, especially the Speak Now album. And those are all albums where it was more of a pop rock sound, especially, like I said, Speak Now. There was maybe 1 or 2 reference to Fearless, which has more of a country sound, obviously. So I think fans can still hold out hope for that. As far as the rest of the album goes, there was an article in Rolling Stone on Friday, I believe. Friday, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Friday.
That said that her theme, basically with previous albums that she's released, is the lead single is always very different from the rest of the album. It's just meant to grab fans' attention and get people talking. Look What You Made Me Do did that for Reputation. We're Never Ever Getting Back Together did that for Red. And then Innocent, I think, was the lead single off of Speak Now. So all three of those singles, if you think about it, you go back and listen to the rest of the album, none of those songs sound like the rest of the albums.
That's true.
And so I have a feeling that's what this is going to be. This was meant to get people's attention, get people talking. You know, the video was specifically for the Easter egg thing, to give people clues about what's upcoming.
Such a good video, too. Holy cow.
I feel very seen with this tweet, by the way.
I'm completely sorry, but something happened and I had to tweet somebody, so.
Did you trip and just, the Taylor Swift song fell into my lap?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You know what? I set myself up for that. It's okay.
You did.
We were trying to get her to hold out a whole week.
By the time this airs, this would be a week.
It's a work week. We'll count it.
But yeah, she definitely put fans' detective skills to work. That's for sure.
I was one of those.
People's series on Twitter was insane. Oh my God. I woke up way too early on Saturday morning and couldn't fall back to sleep right away. So I made the mistake of grabbing my phone and going on Twitter.
Oh, gosh.
And, God, it was just a giant rabbit hole of Taylor Swift fan
And
theories.
who did you text? Just throwing that out there.
I didn't think you were going to answer right away. Well, I don't even think you did answer right away.
No, I did, because I was doing that,
too. I don't remember.
Yeah, no, because I was actually trying to figure out what the name of the album was. That was my whole thing.
Yeah, this was at like 5 o'clock in the morning, I think. I started down the rabbit hole.
Yep.
I kind of like that she sent like the Globe on a scavenger hunt. That's pretty good.
Yeah, she's brilliant when it comes to marketing her music and stuff.
That's true.
It's absolutely insane. And we're pretty sure she's had this planned out for like a year now, because there's this whole theory that she's had this album all planned out and ready before Reputation, but then the whole Kanye Kim thing happened. And that took a turn, and this had to be shelved, because then in the song "Look What You Made Me Do," or is it that one, or is it?
It's "Look What You Made Me Do."
For it?
It's "Look What You Made Me Do."
There's a line that says "My reputation precedes me."
Oh, that might be ready for it, but they're in.
Yeah, I think it's ready for it, and so literally, it's "Reputation precedes me." Me is the name of the song. Reputation was the name of that album. Like, it's a whole thing. I'm telling you.
I'll add something to that. In the background of "Look What You Made Me Do" in the music video, the Taylor that's spray painting the plane is completely in this like colorful pineapple outfit,
which is the whole pastel color palette that we're seeing now.
Yep.
Oh my God! So she's like Disney and Pixar when she puts the little nuggets in the other movies.
Yep, exactly. So TS7, as people are referring to it as, since we don't know the official album title yet, I'm pretty sure it's probably already done. It's just a matter of waiting for a release date announcement now, which
July
another theory
13th.
that people are guessing on is that it'll be released sometime in July, either the 13th or the 27th is the theories that I read.
Wait, fill in the newbie. Why?
Because there's 7 clouds and 7 something else, which refers to July, and then 13 something.
There's 13 clouds and 7 briefcases.
There you go. So 7 being the 7th studio album. And so 7 also being July, and then 13 being, since that's our favorite number, it could be July 13th. And then there was 27 something, so that could also be the July 27th. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's wild. I mean, you know what though? I will say, like, as like a non-super Swiftie, don't tell anybody. like good on her for like making this many people do all this work. Like most artists are like, please listen to my thing, and people are like, she's like, here's like some emojis or whatever.
Right, like
oh my God, could it be?
Yeah, like she actually found a way to involve her her fans. Like, it's so engaging. People are like going nuts over it. So I mean, like I said, it's brilliant marketing on her end.
Yeah, Yeah, I was in Nashville when she did the wings thing the other day.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I wanted to be there.
That. My group chat lit up and everyone was like, it's a couple blocks from my building. Oh my God. And I was like, what's happening here?
And since then, a ton of people have been posting pictures in front of the Me Butterfly mural.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that's there all
now
summer.
I want to go. What?
I hope that's there all summer.
Yeah. I wish you would put one up in every major city, to be honest with you.
There's some around, right? Chicago doesn't have one?
No.
I thought Nashville was the only one.
Yeah, I think so.
No, I think there's at least a couple more. Because I've seen other designs. And the one in Nashville is only, I guess, the new one now. But then, like, the big wings and the baby wings. There's, like... But I think that's it. I don't know. Maybe I've been traveling too much. There's more now. I think designs.
No, I think she specifically commissioned that artist to do that one in Nashville, which is another throwback to, like, a hint at whether or not there's going to be a couple, like, pop country themed songs on her album because she chose Nashville.
Mm. Oh, and then that reference in the music video with the Dixie Chicks.
Right, exactly. We don't know if that's going to be a future collaboration on the album or if that's just a reference to, like, the country sound.
This is a really interesting rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I mean, this could be a whole episode itself.
That she was wearing and the Christmas tree because she grew up on a Christmas tree farm. And, I mean, it's a whole thing.
This is a whole episode.
I feel like I'm back in, like, English class. It's like a poetry exposition. Like, all right, this line means...
Yeah, I mean, I really just want to go back to Nashville just simply to take a picture in front of that mural now, to be honest with you.
I mean, fair. I'll meet you back down there. May 10.
So really quick before we jump into the next new music alert. Never mind. I'll save it. Sorry, guys. So next on the list then, I guess, is... So Dylan Scott released his Nothing to Do Town EP. And so this was really, really good. I feel like he's already one of those artists who doesn't really release a bad song. He's just got that really great Louisiana sound to him, and he, like I said before, like he really balances well that modern country and versus traditional country sound. So this EP was, I thought, a great addition to the full album that he already has out.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I don't find him the most groundbreaking artist, but I find him really solid consistently.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I definitely feel like most of the songs on this EP are naturally inspired by his wife, Blair. And I mean, I think most of his music has been, obviously, but this EP in particular, I feel like there's more songs that really reference her and their marriage. And then also they just recently announced that they're having a second child, which is great for them. Nice. Yeah, so standout tracks on this EP are Nobody, which I said before when it first came out as a single. Lyrically, it kind of reminds me of Blake Shelton's song Nobody But Me. If you guys go back and listen to that. And then Honey, I'm Home is a really great song. It's super sweet. And Look at Us Now is really fun too. So I definitely recommend listening to those ones. And then obviously the title track, Nothing to Do Town, which I believe there's a video out for that one. So yeah, I don't know if you guys got a chance to listen to that or not.
That one I didn't.
The Dylan Scott?
Yeah.
That one I did.
You did?
Uh-huh.
Annie did her homework this week.
Well, I was so mortified last time I was on and I hadn't listened to anything you guys were talking about. And I was like, wow, I really suck. So we're doing better this time, except not with Taylor Swift.
I tried to help with that.
Yes.
I'll listen in post. How's that?
That'll work.
But yeah, so yeah, Dylan Scott's definitely somebody who I think we can expect to hear nothing but great things from in the future as well. And then the Pink album, which we were referencing before we went on air. So Hurts to Be Human is her new album. And, you know, I don't know if I've ever really listened to a full Pink album like all the way through, except for this one. It was really good. Overall, just a really solid album, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a lot more emotionally charged lyrics this time around, too, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about this off air as well, but like the features on it are so cool. The Rabel song is cool. The Khalid song is cool. The Chris Stapleton thing was like, whoa.
Yeah, that one caught me off guard.
She had quite a few collaborations this time around.
Yeah, cash, not to not to leave them out.
And the Chris Stapleton collaboration is the one that everyone keeps talking about. And I mean, for good reason. It's an excellent song. It's really like hauntingly beautiful. And I think it's something that everyone can relate to.
To be just completely honest, it makes me want to hear him as like the featured vocalist on every song ever recorded. I was like, man, I wonder what it'd sound like with Avril Lavigne. Like,
I never knew I needed that.
One of those voices. What,
yeah.
Rich?
I never knew I needed that in my life, but now I need that in my life.
What can I say except you're welcome?
Yeah, I think after this, everyone, not that a lot of people don't already, but I think now a lot more people are going to want to be doing duets with him.
Yeah, you're right. I feel like he obviously is a massive star. And like things like the Grammys give him like a not just country exposure, but he hasn't, I mean, to my mind, he hasn't really broken out too much past that. But I feel like moments like this, the same way that like Maren Morris and Kelsey Ballerini on the Chainsmokers song, like are starting to, grab other audiences' attention. I feel like this is kind of like his version of that move.
Right, exactly. And I totally agree with that. I think that, I mean, people can complain all they want about country artists who, cross over and, dip their feet in the pop world or whatever. But honestly, like, it gets them huge exposure. I mean, look what collaborating with Zedd did for Maren Morris. You can't turn on a radio station and not hear the middle to this day. And, I mean, the Kelsey Ballerini Chainsmokers collaboration was a great choice. And, I mean, even when Stapleton collaborated with Justin Timberlake, his album sales or iTunes sales, whatever, after a Grammy performance? I mean, they boosted. Nobody knew outside the country community, nobody knew who Chris Stapleton was before that Grammy performance with Justin Timberlake.
True.
So, I mean, sometimes I think you kind of have to step outside your genre and collaborate with other artists. And I think this is a perfect example of why. So I think a lot more artists are going to be giving him a call to sing and write with him.
Yeah, seriously.
I did notice that lyrical content-wise on the Pink album, she talks about mental health and like the internal struggles that people face every day. They seem to be the topics most discussed this time around. So it kind of made me, just kind of made me stop and think. And I don't know if maybe that's why I enjoyed it a little bit more, because you could take the songs more seriously, whereas they weren't just, like a dime a dozen kind of songs.
Yeah, well, and I would go so far as to say that's a trend, and I'm super here for it. I think and I mean, maybe this is like very duh, but I feel like pop culture more than ever has been like talking about mental health in like a positive, we need to be more aware of this stuff way. Obviously, like suicide prevention is more of a conversation, I feel like, than it has been previously. And like even things like Ariana Grande having I forget which song on the album that she said she wrote like right after having a panic attack, and like that was that moment. Like I feel like it's becoming less like taboo. Even things like having a therapist are more discussed in like mainstream pop culture, right. I guess. Yeah, and not in like a shame way, but just like this is a part of a healthy lifestyle way.
Right.
And I think it's cool that we're maybe, to my mind, starting to get to a place where it's like not stigmatized to chat about that stuff openly, and like as it pertains to art as well.
Yeah, and kudos to artists like Disturbed who are bringing it up in their concerts. They did that recently on their Evolution tour before they sing their song A Reason to Fight, which was written about one of their fellow bandmates who was struggling with addiction. Wow. I mean, they do a whole big thing right before they perform that song. And their video now, if you get a chance to watch it, is, I think I posted it a few weeks ago when it came out. But they interview the fans and they go through all the different kinds of addictions and struggles that people face, depression and everything. And I think a lot of it now, like we were saying, like it's not so taboo anymore. I think the reason why people are bringing it to the surface is because they don't want to lose any more incredible. I mean, people in general, don't get me wrong, but they don't want to see any more artists lost to stuff that could have been prevented.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, we lost Chester Bennington, we lost Chris Cornell,
Mac Miller recently.
Yes, yeah. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's just, it's insane. But yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I'm really glad to see it being referenced more in music and pop culture in general. The song on the Pink album that I found to be the most interesting was Circle Game. I don't fully understand the chord, like the part, like the song title itself. But so the song, at least the first verse and second verse, it's about how her daughter is looking to her to fight the monsters because she sees her mom as this, this badass chick, rightfully so, in all honesty.
Oh, yeah.
But Pink wants, is trying to look to her own dad for support and to help. But, he's not there. And, it's kind of cool. Like, even though, like, she's a grown up and everything, like, she's still looking for her father to fight her monsters for her. So I just think it shows a real vulnerability that I don't think we've seen from her before, at least not in this depth. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was a really interesting song, and it's a little bit closer towards the end, I believe.
Yeah.
Of the album.
Yeah, I agree. And like hearing you talk about it now, it almost reminds me of their church song Monsters, if you're familiar.
Yeah.
Which I mean, obviously isn't the exact same premise, but kind of like that imagery, and then as it conveys, also a great song.
Yeah, I think it's great that people people assume that just because you get older, you don't need, you stop being afraid of the monsters under your bed, so to speak. But I mean, in all actuality, there's still things that you're afraid of. They might not be figurative monsters, but there's still, you know what I mean? Like, there's still things that you're afraid of. And I don't know, it's just great the way that they build the songs around it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So the next artist on my new music alert list is New Year's Day, which I know, Annie, I don't know how deep you go into the rock genre.
Not very.
So they released I believe it's their second full-length album. I know they have a couple EPs, but this is their second full-length album, Unbreakable. They released on Friday, and last Friday, yeah. And so it's not a bad album. For me, it really doesn't really pick up until track 6, where the songs are a little catchier, in my opinion. Prior to track 6, they're a little bit heavier and it's a little bit more screaming, which doesn't really do it for me. But Ash Costello, the lead singer, she's no doubt an incredible singer. She's very strong vocals, and she really pushes herself on this album. I think it's definitely heavier than their 2015 album, Malevolence, which I thought was more melodic. And then, so I personally think the standout tracks on this one were Poltergeist, Break My Body, My Monsters, and I Survived. So if you like hard rock, but you're not crazy into the screaming and stuff, those are the tracks I definitely recommend starting with on this album. And then you can work your way back. But overall, yes, I didn't think it was a bad album at all. And then the next one I know you listen to is Maddie and Tay's EP, One Heart to Another.
Yes.
These girls have been through quite a bit to get to this release, and they totally deserve it. The success that they're having right now. I know all their peers have been talking about this EP, and for good reason. So the 3 previously released songs on here were Die From a Broken Heart, which is my favorite, and I think probably the strongest song on there. Mm-hmm. I know Highway Country is currently playing this on Sirius XM. And then the first single was Friends Don't, which was really great. And then the most recent one was Tourists in This Town.
Yes.
So 5 songs total on the EP. Okay, am I crazy, or were they originally going to release a full-out concept album? And then did they change it to an EP?
I don't even remember. It's been, obviously quite a minute,
Yeah.
Since their debut, and, they had, little stuff going on. But, I don't remember, but it wouldn't surprise me, like, given the way things go with labels, like, and like, I don't know if this is what they're doing. They switched, right? Because they were on Big Machine, and it's a Mercury Nashville release, UMG.
So I don't know if they got dropped or if they just left. Like, if they
I don't know,
talked their way out of the contract or whatever.
Yeah, I have no inside info on that. But it could be that with the new label, it's just like a test balloon kind of.
Okay.
So I mean, that's my hypothesis more than anything else. I could be totally wrong, but yeah, no, I liked the whole thing. I am a big sucker for New Dog Old Tricks.
Yes.
I thought that was great.
Yes, same. I was going to mention that one. I think that's probably after Die From a Broken Heart. I think that's probably my favorite song on the EP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's a really solid Friends Don't. I loved when that came out.
Yeah.
I want them to notch another number one. I'm like really hoping that happens.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I feel like they're really deserving, and like they write from a really interesting perspective, and just like, I don't know, they deserve it. I want it for them. Yeah.
And if any song goes number one, I pray that it's Die From a Broken Heart. I love that song so much. But I hope their next single is New Dog Old Tricks, because that belongs on radio.
Yeah, agree completely. And I think that, like, I don't know, their career was kind of interesting. Obviously, Girl in the Country Song was like a huge breakout. And then the second single was Fly. Is that right?
That sounds right. Yeah.
See, and for me, that was a mistake because it was like too ballady, too fast. And like, I mean, I'm like the biggest fan of a good ballad, but I just think it killed a lot of their momentum. Like,
yeah,
Shut Up and Fish was great. Like, I'm looking at their whole track listing now. I mean, a lot of like, so many of their songs are fabulous. You know, After the Storm Blows Through, Waiting on a Plane, which, by the way, I have a thing about, because they reference Seat 7A in Waiting on a Plane, and obviously Dirks and Getting Drunk on a Plane is sitting in Seat 7A.
I never even put that together 7A? Before. They have a song. You guys are gonna laugh at me. No one judge me, but I believe it's them. I could be wrong. I'm gonna double check now, but I believe it's them who has a song in Girl Meets World episode.
Really?
I think so. I'm gonna double check.
I'm not laughing.
I got you.
I just don't know.
Yeah, No Place Like You.
I do. Yeah, I was actually
nice.
Yeah, no, that song I love. But yeah, I think you're right. I think they kind of lost momentum doing a ballad in between Girl in the Country Song and Shut Up and Fish.
Yeah, agree. Which, I think is too bad, because they're fabulous.
Yeah, and I think now they're really gonna start getting the attention they deserve, just because they've really honed their songwriting craft, and their melodies are like they were great before, but they're really on par right now.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, I mean, I don't know, to be completely blunt, I loved Girl in a Country Song, but the melody wasn't there for me. I just thought it was a good song, and they sounded cool, and obviously it was cool. For the moment, it was perfect. But melodically, I wasn't a super fan. But yeah, I think they've come a long way in that respect, like you were saying.
Yeah, I think this new EP is definitely going to open a lot more doors for them, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're on tour right now with Carrie Underwood and, is it Runaway June, or who's the other female artist?
Oh, that sounds right. I would have to double check that.
But yeah, I mean, they're gonna. I think they're really gonna blow up between that tour and this new EP.
Mm-hmm.
So next on my list, Granger Smith released a new single, Heaven Bound Balloons. And even if you're not a country fan, I recommend listening to this song. It's such a sweet but kind of sad song about sending messages on balloons to heaven for every loved one that you've lost. And it's just such a sweet sentiment. And I know I've seen the things that go around on Facebook about why you shouldn't send balloons up into the air. I get it, okay, but can we just please, what are the odds of that happening? I'm sorry,
I just really wasn't sure where you were going with that.
It bugs me, when people post that, because it's really we're not talking about somebody purposely trying to hurt an animal, and that's why they're letting the balloon go up in the air. They're genuinely doing it as a sentiment, to their loved one, you know.
Well, also that most of the world is water, so I don't know. It was a whole other conversation.
Yeah. But like, I just don't want people to like give. I can just see it now, like people giving him backlash for this just because of that. You know what I mean?
2019 is a weird place. Yeah, I'll leave it at that on my
end. But no, I think it's just a really great message and something that we need more of, especially on country radio right now.
Speaking of things, while you're on the subject of that song, I was just looking up who wrote it while you were talking about it. And Jordan Schmidt is killing it between God's Country, between all his stuff with Florida Georgia Line.
Wait, okay, so this is my bad for not doing my homework. He co-wrote or wrote God's Country by Blake Shelton?
I believe so. I think it was him, Hardy, and Devin Dawson, which is like,
oh my God,
like a dream team in itself. But
yeah. And he wrote this one? Wow.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if iTunes track listing is to be trusted, which
I trust Apple.
Right. With my data too.
Yeah. Wow, I did not know Jordan
yeah.
Wow. I did not know he was writing those songs.
He's prolific. He also, I mean, like I just said, like he's doing a lot of FGL stuff.
Yeah, FGL.
That's also a whole other conversation.
It is. Oh, those guys. And I just saw them on the Billboard Awards before I started recording, came out here to record.
Oh, yeah. That is tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, they were presenting. I only watched the beginning just to see the opening performance with Taylor Swift and Brendan Urie.
On brands, continue.
But yeah, you know who else's new single really kills it? Is Tyler Rich, Leave Her Wild.
Yeah, I
love this song. This is the sound that I want to hear more of from him.
I also, just to like rant about like women in music for a second, like the most tired conversation on the planet, but I'm really happy that we're starting to hear songs like that and like To Hell and Back, that are just like actually like not like fake respectful and not like you're beautiful without makeup, like subtext because you're beautiful anyway, like
right,
like, but ones that are just actually kind of like be who you are. Like another example that like I don't think gets enough credit at all is Frankie Ballard's Wasting Time, which is basically just like if you want to like rant, like whatever, like if you want to drink, I'm buying, like, you know, it basically is just like waste my time, like what, it's just really, I don't know, nice and non-aggressive, and I'm super into it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think this just feels natural too, this song.
Yeah.
But no, like you said, it's about, you know, just loving your girl as she is, not trying to tame her or dull her shine. I love that there's no backbeat. I can't stress that enough.
I didn't even think about it, but you're right.
Yeah, I went off on a rant last week about backbeat in songs and how artists are using it to, I don't know if they feel like they need to or they're trying to keep up with, you know, what's currently on country radio or what, but it's just, these artists a lot of them have such strong voices and great songwriting, they don't need the backbeat. I just want to yank it out when I hear the song.
Yeah, well, I think like what you just said about like keeping up with country radio is a fault that many artists fall into often.
Yeah, unfortunately, especially when they're putting out new music, they're trying to stay relevant and keep with the trend or whatever.
Oh gosh, the artist that has done well and then is no longer doing well is like the limping antelope that's like waiting for the lion to come along. It's like, oh, you're gonna cut like a knockoff number one. Got it.
That's a great analogy.
We're in the jungle tonight.
And cue Guns N' Roses.
Yes.
So Delta Ray released a second single this week, One Good Cry. So their first single, which Scott Borchetto, like I said last week, was kind of marketing it as like this new direction that they're taking. And so Heart Won't Break, like I said last week, I love the sentiment, but they don't need the backbeat. And that's what killed the song.
Are we ranting about backbeat again this time too?
A little bit. But so this new song, One Good Cry, no more backbeat. It uses a bit of finger snap rhythms, which I can deal with, not a big deal. But it's much more soulful and tender. And this high run that they hit at the end, just perfect. The lyrics, again, about giving someone, you know, just one more good cry before you're totally over it. And I think, I mean, at the end of the day, like, we've all been there. We've all, you know, experienced that.
Oh, yeah.
But this song, I mean, I'm so there for the sound that they have right now in the song. They have another song coming out this coming Friday, and I hope we stick with this trend and
and no backbeat.
No backbeat. I'm begging you, artists.
I've never thought about this until like right this minute as you were talking, but I'm wondering like a couple of years ago. I mean, I moved to Nashville 5 years ago, so like that's when I started paying close attention. But like it was like track guy was like a bad word. It was like, oh, you're writing to track, and that was kind of like a lesser thing. But like Jordan, Schmidt, I'm almost positive is a track guy, and like I would imagine that God's Country, as an example, was written to track. Like I would be pretty shocked if that weren't the case. And I'm wondering if you're writing to track, you're writing the vibe, obviously in the room in a way that you're not when you have the production later. And I wonder, like you're talking about this backbeat that gets like just added on. I wonder if like that's one of the downsides of not writing the track, is that it's more likely that the production is just going to kind of, I don't know, lean cookie cutter, because that piece of creativity, unless it's like, I don't know, like a Jay Joyce or somebody that's super like left of center in all of his production choices, I wonder if it's easier to lean into what's working.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, me neither. I'm spitballing here.
But that is interesting, though. You know what? That's something that would be like an interesting question to ask a songwriter and a producer, to get both the
perspectives.
Both those perspectives, if I could talk.
How do we arrange to be flies on like every single writing room?
Right? I mean, maybe we just have to go work for a billboard or Sounds Like Nashville. Because apparently, then we could interview whoever we want. Sorry.
Yeah, right. It's a whole other thing again.
That felt like something that I probably should have put in a text message to you.
No, it's good. I feel like that we need like I don't know what the podcast radio whatever equivalent is, but like how do we get like little subheadings or like footnotes? Expand here for this rant.
Yeah, right. Rich, can you do that for us?
I can. It's just a lot more work on me.
Well, okay.
I mean, small price to pay. I'm just joking.
Oh God.
He's like, no more Annie. Annie can't come on the show anymore.
Yeah, right. I've been banished between that and the Taylor Swift. I'm done.
So you know who I'm loving right now is Honey County.
Yeah.
Their EP that they released last week, so good. And then they released a song this past week, which they actually wrote with Kaylee Short, called Country Strong. I love this. Like, it feels like it needs to be playing in like a movie somewhere.
Yeah. Did I write a note about that? I think I meant to. It felt very yeah, agreed.
I don't know if it like a big picture movie or like a Hallmark movie, but it belongs like in the background,
like a Reese Witherspoon movie.
Yeah, like Sweet Home Alabama 2, maybe.
Yeah, let's just cast it. Why not?
But no, I think it's a great song. About getting back up when you fall. Relying on your community to help you when something happens. It's got such a great sound to it. I really love these three girls, their melodies and harmonies. I think, again, there's no reason why any one of their songs should not be played on country radio. And I feel like if this was 1990s or early 2000s country, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Like, it just wouldn't be a question. They would be played. But right now, it's like we have to like hope and pray that someone picks them up.
Yeah. Their voices, I wasn't familiar before like listening today, but like it kind of reminds me of like a young Carrie Underwood kind of vibe wise, like in a good way, just like something about the vocal, I guess.
Yeah, like her early albums, like Some Hearts or something.
Yeah.
I can hear that. Yeah, no, I was really excited to see that they wrote this with Kaylee Short. She co-writes with so many people now.
And she's hilarious on Twitter.
She's
super
hilarious. Oh my god, she's like the girl like you want to be friends with, like in real life.
I was really enjoying her tweet the other day. Like, I don't know who needs to hear this, but find someone hotter to break your heart. Like, wow, yeah.
Yeah, she's, oh my god. If you're not following Kaylee Short on Twitter now, like, go do it right now. Just, trust me, you can thank us later.
Because she's just side amazing. Of the road and hit the follow button.
Yeah, right? Follow her on Instagram too, because my god, I love I'm always so excited to see like what outfit she's gonna wear every day.
That's how I feel. If this is gonna turn into a style chat real quick, sorry.
Go for it.
Sorry, not sorry. Jennifer from Smithfield is my favorite style icon in country music. She is stunning. Yeah. She is so cool. She's also the nicest person on planet Earth. But like her outfits, oh my god.
Yeah, and you know what? That's another great reason why I'm so glad like we have one of the great reasons why I'm glad we have social media so that we can follow these artists, because like you get like an inside look into their lives, like what's going on with them and like their closets. I mean, oh my god, like I feel like that's part of the reason why we follow them is just to get ideas for our own wardrobe outfits if we can even like try to compare to that. Them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
What's the Goodwill version of this?
And what's really cool is that some of them do like Instagram ads, I guess. Like they'll like and like tell you where to shop, like where they got their stuff, and they'll give you discount codes. So that's kind of cool.
I think that what we should do at Country Artists in Nashville is like, because you can't wear the same outfit on like tour everything. I mean, I guess you can, but like not totally. So I think there should be like a resale thing where like we can buy those clothes
for fans. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
let's make that a thing, please.
Dude, down. Dibs, people listening. This is our idea. Unless you know any web developers. If you're a web developer, get in contact with us.
Right. Okay, so totally off topic, but I am waiting for the day, unless there's, as far as I know, there's not one. I am waiting for the day that somebody develops an app where if I see somebody on the train or walking down the sidewalk and I want to know, I love their bag, don't know where they got it, don't really want to ask them. Or, like, I love their shoes that they have on. Again, I don't want to talk to them. I can just snap a picture of it, and it pulls it up on my phone and tells me where they got it. So I can go
So Shazam for clothes.
Okay. Exactly.
Where we just went with this, though, is what I've been wondering for a long time, which would be, like, the worst infringement of privacy ever. But I think there needs to be Shazam for faces. Like, I think I met them at a party, but I can't figure out where I know them from. I mean, like, it would also be really, really, really infringy. However.
But it would make things less awkward.
Yeah.
You say that now.
Oh my god. Yeah, I guess there are a lot of repercussions there.
Why are you taking a picture of me? Well, why? Why? That would be a whole thing.
I would do it like
I learned that I met you 10 years ago. Oh my god. Can you imagine?
Oh my god. There are people in bars would never put their phones down, even though they already don't put their phones down.
Yeah, true.
This needs to be a thing. Like, who do we have to talk to make that happen?
Wouldn't you feel bad for like the artists who take the photos for Instagram and all of a sudden like it ends up in that app and then just everyone's faces are just like
No.
Yeah, right.
Wait, why would I feel bad?
Because that would be ridiculously to tag every person in a photo from a concert.
No, we're not trying to tag them. We just for our own benefit of knowing, like,
that would be what happens, though, right?
So then make it a thing where you can't tag them. I don't know. I'm not an app developer.
All I want to know is if I meet somebody and I can't remember why I know them, I want my little app to be like, oh, this is this person. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. Phone.
Exactly. And then you can go up to them and be like, hey, so-and-so. You know, I
so great. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yep. I don't know. Maybe it's a chick thing. Like, maybe guys don't think this much about that stuff.
Guys are just like, I'm going to pretend like I know them anyway.
Exactly.
I'm not one of those. I can say that now. I'd rather have the app, but I just feel weird taking other people's photos.
I mean, people do it now. It's like, so we have a girl at work who Snapchats videos of people on the train, like crazy people. And then she saves them because you can save pictures and videos on Snapchat, obviously. And then she shows them to us later. And I'm always telling her, I'm like, you need your own YouTube channel of just like the crazy people that you see on the train, like people doing stupid stuff. So, I mean, it's no different. Like, we can technically already take pictures of people on like people we don't know.
So and if you're me, you pretend like you're taking a selfie and really you're just taking the photo.
And also, people need to learn, if they're trying to be discreet about taking pictures of other people, if you don't have your headphones in, put your phone on vibrate. Then no one can hear you taking a picture. Come on, it's not that complicated.
Yeah, that's like rookie mistakes.
Right? Like, not trying to sound like a stalker, but seriously, common sense.
Are we sharing stalker tips? This is bad.
How did we?
Oh God. Rob Thomas.
Welcome to Stalking a Chord.
What?
Welcome to Stalking a Chord.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Getting back to the music portion of this podcast.
The stalking will come in a second episode.
Randy Rogers.
For people that are listening, like, if you're wondering what makes this conversation different from, like, the way Amanda and I talk on the phone, the answer is nothing.
Exactly. Absolutely nothing. Our conversations go from one end of the spectrum to the other end and back again.
Yes.
So Randy Rogers Band released their new album, Hellbent. So they are a Texas country band with a very distinct sound. I love the vocalist. I love the singer's vocals. Is I guess technically how I should put that. The tracks that I really liked were Hellbent on a Heartache, which I really hope gets mainstream radio airplay and not just Texas radio airplay. You, Me, and a Bottle was good. Crazy People, Anchors Away. So those I thought were the standout tracks. Yeah, they just have great musicality, unique sound. I mean, Texas country in itself is its own like genre.
Mm-hmm. It's its own world.
Yeah, it's really crazy. And like I said, even Texas country radio.
Mm-hmm. I had the pleasure of interviewing one time Randy Rogers and Wade Bowen in the same room.
That's awesome.
It was incredible. They have hilarious rapport. They have an album together. They always tour together, for years and years. And they were joking. They were like joking, whatever, about whose like mainstream country song had charted higher. And I think one was like in the 50s and one was in the 60s.
Oh my God.
All that to say, it is a very different world because like, Texas country, they're like the elite and make great livings. And then like the Nashville country thing is a completely different animal.
Yeah. And there's actually some Texas country acts who are not big on the Nashville act. I think it's probably gotten better, but just because like the Nashville side of things kind of, they kind of keep the Texas acts like out of the Nashville scene. I don't know. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's like a territorial thing, but like you said, like it's two separate worlds, and I think because of that, there can be a little animosity sometimes.
Yeah, no, there's definitely some tension there. I don't know, like I can't speak in any educated way to like the business side of how that plays out. But there definitely is kind of like some Texas people will be like, like it's selling out to go try it in Nashville, and like you wouldn't even want to. Right. And then on the other hand, there's some acts that are like, I don't want to go just play the Texas circuit, never get out of that market. So,
yep. And it's funny, one band that actually like is from Texas but never really fell into that Texas scene, I would think because their sound was a little bit more Nashville like, was Eli Youngman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's who I was guessing you were going to say before you finished that sentence. And I would totally agree with that.
And they actually, a few weeks ago, they put out a greatest hits album, and I think it had like one new song on it. I mean, they're a band who's great live. They have a great catalog. They kind of fell off the map a little bit ever since country radio's gone this new direction. So they don't get the attention that they deserve. And I think songs like Skin and Bones, I mean, that should have been the next Crazy Girl. I mean, it was just that good of a song, and it fell away. It kind of dropped off the map. It didn't get nearly the attention it deserved, which was really disappointing. And I thought their last album was really good and like kind of brought them back to their roots a little bit. Again, did not get the radio attention that it deserved, which just, I mean, that's a beat a dead horse, but it was just disappointing.
Yeah, concur.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel bad for those guys. Like, they're so talented and their music is so great, and because of the direction country's gone, it's just...
Yeah, well, and then of course there's the whole animal that we definitely are not getting into, which is where Music Row puts its money. So,
yeah. Yeah, that's a whole separate episode in itself, like country and Music Row and the whole Nashville scene, and I don't know. It's just it's so irritating, to be honest with you.
Flip to page 45 for a rant on this. Right? The Choose Your Own Adventure episode.
Where's that footnote, Rich?
Again, I could make that happen.
I am definitely getting kicked off this podcast.
No.
Sorry.
No. Until I have to edit the Choose Your Own Adventure one, you're good.
Noted.
So Sum 41, a band we have not heard from in quite some time, released a new single on Friday called Out for Blood. Don't let the beginning fool you. It is very heavy instrumentally in the beginning, but then
it was.
You listened to it?
Yeah, and I like the beginning came on,
so
and I was
proud of
like,
you.
"What did she send me here?" And then I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, but then once it gets going, it's not so heavy, and like the vocals aren't as bad. There's just like I think there's like a tiny bit of screaming at one point, but it's not enough to scare fans away. So like I said, don't be fooled by that. It is a bit of a different sound for them than what we're used to, but I mean, I thought it was a good song. It'll be interesting to see if they have plans for a full album and what that's going to sound like as well. But yeah, I think they're doing a small tour, but I'm not 100% sure either. I feel like they announced one, at least in Chicago. But yeah, I'm so proud of you for listening to that.
Thank you.
There was also a really wicked guitar solo in there, which I really loved. So that was good to hear again. And then The Damn Things, which, so their second album, High Crimes, was released. So this is kind of like a supergroup. So their first album was released in 2010, and this group is made up of Joe Trollman and Andy Hurley from Fall Out Boy, Scott Ian of Anthrax, Keith Buckley of Every Time I Die, and then this time around they added Dan Andriano of Alkaline Trio, and he's playing bass. Definitely heavier than their first album, especially the first track. Again, don't let that scare you away. The rest of the album isn't as scary. It is a lot more thrashy and faster paced, I feel like, than their first album. Standout tracks for me were Something Good, Invincible, and Omen. Yeah, again, they have a very distinct sound. You can tell that this is, especially for Joe and Andy from Fall Out Boy, this is them like getting to explore and really show off their musicianship, because Fall Out Boy doesn't really give them that opportunity, especially with their last few albums, since they rely so much on, I don't know, a different kind of sound. But yeah, I don't know if you got if you if you were feeling that adventurous and listened to that album or not.
No. I did not venture that far.
Rich, did you happen to listen to that one, or are you familiar with their first one?
I'm not.
Oh, I'm surprised.
Yeah, I am too, because I actually like Anthrax, so that kind of.
Oh, see, no, I don't.
It's one of those 80s bands. I don't know.
No, I mean, I know who Anthrax is.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying in general. That's what got me hooked on them.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I wasn't. So individually, I'm not a huge fan of those people. Like, I'm not really a big fan of Anthrax or Every Time I Die. Obviously, a fan of Fall Out Boy and Alkaline Trio, which is where Dan Andriano comes from. But together, I mean, I think it's definitely fair to call these guys a super group. Just because, I mean, like I said, like these two albums really show off their musicianship, which, I mean, you kind of get that for most of them on their other albums with their own bands. But this one, it really, I don't know, kind of shows it off in a different way, I guess. And then Halestorm released a single, Chemicals. This was a Record Store Day B-side single specifically. Just a standalone, which I was really surprised by. I didn't know they were doing this. Again, it's a song about mental health, the stigma surrounding it. Kind of just goes into the commonalities that we all experience. So I thought that was really cool that they did that, and I'm not surprised either. Lizzie Hale, God, I think it was back in the winter months. There was a female artist in a band that passed away, and after that happened, she so she started this campaign on Instagram, and where she was asking fans and everyone to raise their horn. I think the hashtag was raise your horns, and she just wanted people to post a picture of themselves with doing that, with that hashtag, and it was just to raise awareness about mental health again, because I mean, again, she's one of these artists who's bringing attention to it, bringing it to the surface, and so there's not the stigma surrounding it anymore, like we were talking about. So this was a really great song. Typical, from what you would expect from Halestorm, as far as musicality, it's a really great song. So if you're a fan of everything else that they've done, I do recommend listening to this one. And then Trivium, who is more of I don't know if you'd consider them just a metal band or a hardcore band, but this new single, I Don't Want to Be Me, it's really great. Some great guitar riffs in there. More melodic than I remember them being before. Fast-paced, clean vocals, no screaming. So if you like hard rock, but you're not really into the screaming thing, then I would recommend giving the song a listen. It is really good. So because of that, though, I don't know how diehard metal fans are going to, how well they'll like it. And then DJ Silver, who is obviously a DJ. He does a lot of country festivals. He's best friends, I think, with Jason Aldean and a lot of people in country music. And so he has a song. I didn't know he was doing songs on his own until this one. So this song features Waterloo Revival, and I think George actually wrote the song, but it's called Getaway Driver. Perfect song for the summer, I thought. It had a really good vibe to it. And I think George and Cody were the perfect duo to feature on this song. Did you get a chance to listen to this one, Annie?
No, and I'm mad because it sounds fabulous.
Yeah, it is really good. I thought it would. I think it's going to be perfect when they start playing it at festivals and stuff. And I believe, so Country Lake Shake in Chicago, Waterloo Revival is going to be there on Saturday, and I'm pretty sure DJ Silver again is doing the emceeing or whatever, the DJing in between sets. So I'm sure they'll do this with him. So that'll be fun.
Nice.
Yeah. And then, so these next two artists, Sammy Arriaga, wasn't really familiar with him until I saw this song was released on Friday called Flannel.
Sammy from Miami.
Yeah, so he has a song called Miami on his previous EP. 2017's Meet in the Middle.
I don't know. I mean, he's one of those people that I've known from Nashville since I moved down there. I don't know a ton about his backstory. I think he's I want to say half Cuban maybe, but I would have to research that.
Oh, really?
He's
That's
bilingual. And he was doing I think he was doing Spanish language and English language, country music, I think. But he's cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't pick up on that either. In this song particularly, I thought it was a really sweet song. I think he's got a great voice. I wish it would rely on the backbeat a little bit less than what it does. It's not super heavy, not nearly as heavy as some stuff. I know. I'm sorry. Send your hate mail. strikingandchordofficial@gmail.com. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, I'm gonna write you a strongly worded note.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely want to hear more from him. So off of that previous EP that I was just referencing, there's a song on there called Tell 'Em Why. Great song. Go listen to it. Again, it's about that strong songwriting, telling a story and everything. And it's a really good song, I thought.
Nice.
Yeah.
Look up who wrote
it. So I hope we get to hear more from him. I'm hoping he releases another EP or a full album. We'll see. And then, so this next guy, I've heard his name being tossed around a few times already. Ray Fulcher.
Yes.
Life After You're Leaving is his latest single. He's definitely got a more traditional country sound and a really good voice. This song, I think, would have fit perfectly on country radio in the 2000s. But it's definitely what country radio should be right now. Don't know if he'll get the airplay that he deserves, but I mean, that's not really a big surprise at this point, if you've been listening to the rest of our conversations.
Indeed.
But yeah, did you listen to this one?
No, I'm striking out again.
No, you're good. You're good. It's a lot better than the last time.
That wasn't a high benchmark that I set, though.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm happy to be like your lamest guest.
No, by no means are you lame. Trust me. Maddie Wilson.
Okay.
So Maddie Wilson released her song R.I.P. And she's got this twang that you really don't hear in many, especially female voices in country today. I don't know if it's just because we're seeing more country artists that aren't necessarily from the South. So their sound is a little bit more pop country, which is, it's great. I still love them all. But it's kind of nice to hear that twang back in country music. So she's definitely got a great sound. And she's one of these artists who's sweet with a little bit of sass. And not to keep repeating myself, but it's another song that belongs on country radio right now.
Oh, I thought you were going to go back to the backbeat.
Oh, no. There's no backbeat in this song.
Oh.
Probably why I'm a big fan of it.
2 thumbs way up.
Yes, 2 thumbs up for sure on Maddie Wilson. So, yeah, I really hope we get to hear more from her as well. And then if you're listening and wondering when we're going to get through all of our new music, congratulations. We finally did it. Like I said, there was a lot of new music to get through this week. I mean, it was all good. It was just a lot.
Yes.
And then
but it's moving into that season. Like,
yeah, that's true. Spring, summer. Well, I don't know if you can really call what we've had in the Midwest spring, but
well, Nashville is in the 80s, so in Nashville it's summer.
Don't even. I can't with all your guys' Instagram stories. You guys are all in shorts and tank tops and flip-flops, and we're all over here still wearing our winter coats.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Snowbird, anytime.
It's storming here. I got nothing.
Yeah, it's been raining all week so far. And on Saturday, it snowed a little bit. It's just ridiculous. I don't know why I live in Chicago. I really don't.
Summers are nice.
No, they get humid, and then you don't even want to be outside anymore. Like, you can't win.
Oh, gosh. I take it back. I don't know.
There's like 3 perfect days a year for you, isn't there?
Yeah, pretty much. I love fall, but, it just gets to a point, like, after you've had a long winter, like, you look forward to those 60, 70-degree days. And you technically you should have them in April and going into May, but we haven't really had that many. It's very sad. Very depressing, too. Sorry. Not to go on a rant about that, but yeah.
I was going to do the choose your own adventure thing, but like it's implicit at this point. Everyone knows.
So my Manda's music pick of the week is, no surprise here, the Rob Thomas album, Chip to Smile, which we will get into in a little bit when we get into our feature segment. So artists to watch for, though, I'm trying to give you guys at least 2 artists every week in case you haven't noticed that they're not necessarily new anymore, but they're new to somebody who's listening. And they're artists that I think are worth mentioning that people need to go check out because you're not going to hear them on mainstream radio. So this week I have for you Ko Wetzel, and I apologize if I'm butchering his name. And Annie, I know you're probably familiar with him, correct?
I'm not, actually.
Really? I'm surprised.
Educate me.
So Ko Wetzel he's this Texas artist with his own unique sound, but he doesn't have that like traditional Texas sound that other Texas artists have right now. He's got more of like a country rock and roll Americana kind of vibe to it. So my like first thought was it's like a little bit of like a Tom Petty meets Leonard Skinner vibe.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and I'm surprised you haven't heard of him yet because there's a certain other entertainment website that is really up his butt right now.
You sound like when I'm down at George Dickel and they're like, the other folks up the road, aka Jack Daniels.
Yeah, I really gotta be more careful about what I say on here, but whatever. It is what it is.
I have a censor button.
Full hearts can't lose. What?
I have a censor button.
You have a what button?
A censor button.
Does that work in real time? I've always wondered on television how they like bleep people out.
7-second delay.
Oh,
not bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's other entertainment sites that are that have been on that have had him on their radar sooner than I have. I'm not going to deny that. I'm a little late to the game. But so the reason why I brought him up was because I think it was last weekend or the weekend before, I saw that after the fact, I saw that he was at Joe's on Weed Street in Chicago, and it looked like a nearly sold out crowd. Everyone was really into his performance. One of the songs that I happened to catch through the Insta stories from Joe's on Weed Street was Something to Talk About off of his 2016 album Noise Complaint. Really, really great song. That's the one that I've been listening to a lot lately. But I mean, the rest of his album is really great as well. His most recent single is from 2017. It's called Austin. That one's a different kind of sound from this Noise Complaint album. It's a little bit more slowed down, a little more of like a ballad kind of vibe to it, but not completely, not like in a traditional sense, if that makes any kind of sense at all. So yeah, I mean, I think that and also, so Jacob Bryant was opening for him on a few tour dates this past year. Yeah, so that was another reason why I happened to recognize his name.
Cool.
Yeah, this is gonna sound weird, but like, so as soon as I started listening to him, I like, you know how like you just like in your head like you pair up like people like who you think would make for a great duet, as if like anyone would listen to us, but.
No, but that's fabulous. I should start doing that.
Oh yeah, I do that all the time with people.
Like so, matchmaking, but musically.
Exactly. So I would love to hear Coetzel do a duet with Lauren Jenkins.
Oh,
I think
okay.
Yeah. So I mentioned her on. I think it was actually the episode that I last had you on. When she released her debut album this year. So go back and listen to her album, some of her songs, and then listen to Coetzel, and I think you'll kind of see why I think that they would make a good pairing for a duet. But yeah, and then our other artist to watch for, who we talked about last week, Tiara. We also have an interview up now that you can listen to with her, and so she's got some stuff in the works. She just finished playing Stagecoach Festival this past weekend, and she killed it. She's got new music coming. Right now it's all TBD or TBA. She doesn't know when she's going to be able to announce the new music coming out. But yeah, she's definitely got more of like a soulful country sound to her. It's kind of like Kelsey Ballerini meets Miranda Lambert with some soul thrown in there. She's got that Muscle Shoals sound. She's from around Birmingham, Alabama area. Just so much potential ahead of her. Yeah, she's got such a sweet, great sound to her. So yeah, those are my two artists for you guys to watch out for this week. And then, so before we get into music news, I know you were in Nashville, Annie, for half of the NFL draft. Tell us about that craziness.
Chaos. Oh. So I read a stat on Twitter, which means it's for real, which said that 300,000 people were in Nashville for the draft, and something like 85,000 are downtown for CMA Fest every day. So, like, that's more.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I steered clear of it for the most part, and then I left town. So I can't speak to, like, experiencing it like someone who actually experienced it. But what I will say is that, like, Nashville has a lot of beautiful women, but, like, the descending of NFL wives on Nashville was really sobering. I was like, oh my God. So there were some goddesses present, and that's what I noticed. And a lot of black cars, a lot of Escalades driving around, even more than usual.
Not surprised there.
Those are my impressions of the NFL draft.
My personal favorite story that came out of that was the bride who had her bridal shower ruined.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That made me happy.
I was enjoying that as opposed to, all the people that live there. But it's like, I'm not even bitter about it because Nashville at this point is so not focused or centered around anyone that lives there. Like, that ship sailed so long ago.
Those damn bachelorettes. It was so funny seeing that pop up on my newsfeed this week.
Yeah, right.
About and they genuinely looked like so pissed off that like this NFL draft was ruining their bachelor party. Like, how dare the city of Nashville host any other events while they're there?
Well, how else can you drink through a penis straw if there's a draft going on? Am I allowed to say penis on here? Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, it's just crazy that, I mean, God, I can only imagine for the people that live in Nashville, like, how annoying it can be when us tourists come to town and just wreak havoc on the city.
It's kind of okay because the tourists usually stick to Broadway and it's no big deal.
And so from what I heard, there was certain, like, you couldn't even get into some of the bars on Broadway because certain teams had, like, completely, like, bought out the bar.
Oh my God. Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so, like, you know, any, like, the Titans fans that came in, like, they had certain bars that they could go to, like, that because that team, like, bought out that bar for those fans specifically.
Wow.
Yeah. So other people that were trying to, like, bar hop and just get into, you know, whatever bar they could, some of them were being turned away because they were bought out by certain teams.
Wow.
Huh. Yeah.
Wild.
And then it rained all day there on, what was it, Saturday, I believe, in Nashville as well?
Oh shoot, I don't know. One of those days.
But I mean, the musical performances, I mean, I've heard nothing but good things about that.
Yeah, same. And again, my interaction with that was pretty limited, but I did hear good things.
But yeah, I think it really just, if anything, made more people want to go to Nashville, as if that was even possible.
I really do think a lot more people are going to start moving there now, which is like so great for the fact that I'm like continuing to try to pay rent.
Yeah, if people could just stop moving there, because then I could actually move there, because then the demand would go down for the living expenses.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, it's nearly almost as expensive as Chicago now.
Yeah, right? If anyone wants to, like, sponsor us a house, that would be sick.
Right? That would be fantastic.
Right?
And then music news. John Gurney, who was one of our artists who watched for last week, released a video today, I believe.
Yes.
For That's How You Got It. And it was on CMT.
Yes.
And then his girlfriend, Shannon, who, again, like I said last week, if you follow her on Instagram, she's hilarious. Like, she really is. And she's got a lot of great tips for anyone who likes to follow, any of the celebrity wives and stuff like that on Instagram. Travel hacks, beauty tips, fashion tips, home decor, all that stuff. And she'll give you discount codes for all kinds of great stuff as well. But yeah, so she's featured in his music video for this song. And it looks like it was like a really crazy video shoot as well. Like, they're all in like 80s roller skating outfits, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, it's very like kooky 80s workout kind of theme.
So that definitely check that out. It looks like a really fun video. And then Ashley McBride, Carly Pierce, and Kaylee Shore, at least, I'm sure there's more people, but those three I know for sure are all working on new albums right now. So that's really exciting. I can't wait to hear what we get next from those three artists, because they're currently killing it right now. And then Jordan Davis announced his new single is Slow Dancing in the Parking Lot. Probably one of my favorite songs on his album Home State.
Yes. I love him. When I first moved to Nashville, he was just a songwriter, not an artist. And like, I was very fortunate to have mutual friends with him who would share his demos with me. And like, there was some on SoundCloud and stuff too. And like, I can't remember if that was one of them or not. But Take It From Me was. And so I jammed to that for like years. But he's so good. He's such a good writer. He's got a cool voice. Like, he's got a cool perspective. So like, anything with him ever, I'm like, yes, like, yeah, do the damn thing. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And the story behind no, you're good. The story behind the song Slow Dancing in a Parking Lot. So I believe one of the writers was Lenny Fowler, if I'm remembering correctly. And so they wrote it about like one of like the first dates that Lenny had with his wife. And like they tried to put in there like as much detail as possible. And so like I think like one of Jordan's favorite parts about it was like including like the Rent-A-Cop story. So that was really cool. But yeah, I mean, it's just a perfect example of, telling like a great story and just doing it while like doing it justice. And yeah, it's just a really great song in general. A perfect example of how of what can be so appealing about country music is the storytelling aspect.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then today started $20 concert tickets, concert week through Live Nation. So go check it out on livenation.com. And this is not an ad. We are not sponsored by Live Nation. I'm just telling you people who love to go to concerts just like I do. It's restricted to certain cities. Not all the cities on what certain artist tours are going to be included in this. But there are a lot, and then it's also restricted to certain kinds of seats. So if it's an outdoor venue, chances are the $20 tickets are lawn seats.
They are not.
But still not bad.
They are not. I made a purchase today. Just going to say.
They're not what?
Lawn seats.
Ooh.
Oh, well, maybe that's because, you're not in Chicago, though.
No, but the St. Louis one's not lawn seats.
Oh. Was it an outdoor venue?
It is an outdoor venue.
Huh.
Nice.
They have lawn seats. But there's more seats that's in the $20 than just lawn.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. I didn't really dig too much. I didn't do too much digging into that today. There was just a couple that I checked, and the $20 ones were lawn seats. I didn't check the actual regular seats yet. But yeah, definitely go check that out. And then that moves us into our On the Road segment for any tours and stuff. Do either of you guys have any that you want to start off with?
I do.
Any recent tour festival announcements? Go for it.
I do. The Jonas Brothers just announced they're going on tour.
I did see that. The Happiness Begins tour.
Yes.
Not a tour I'll be attending, but I figured you would.
No, I saw that and was like, hey, that's kind of cool. Actually, I am attending a new tour that got announced today.
Uh-oh.
It's Real Big Fish and the Aquabats.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Aquabats. Wow, I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Super stoked for that.
That's fun.
So,
how many cities is that tour hitting?
the Real Big Fish one or the Jonas Brothers?
The Real Big Fish one.
Quite a few, actually. And then if you don't see them with Aquabats, they're also touring with Bowling for Soup.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God. I was listening to them yesterday.
There's a throwback. I don't think I've listened to them since college.
Them live. They're fabulous.
Yeah, I saw them at a Warped Tour one year when I was still in high school, I think.
Right?
They
fun.
are. My sophomore year, my college roommate and I, who I also went to high school with, we used to jam out to, what was the song? Punk Rock 101. We used to jam out to that all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Great song. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, great song. It's Bowling for Soup, Real Big Fish, and Nerf Herder.
Oh, wow.
So, it's not a bad tour at all.
Yeah, that should be fun. They also announced the mixtape tour, which is New Kids on the Block, Salt and Pepper, Naughty by Nature, Tiffany, and Debbie Gibson.
I have tickets to that.
Straight out of the 80s, 90s. Do you really?
Yep.
I love Donnie Wahlberg. Confession. I would probably go just to see Donnie Wahlberg.
Fair enough.
I'm going for Salt and Pepper.
Really?
Yep.
Have they put out any new music?
I don't think so. But
This is too funny. And then they also announced the 2019 Austin City Music Festival lineup.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, so GNR, which they're popping up on all kinds of festivals this year. I don't know what's going on.
Gotta get that money.
Mumford & Sons, Childish Gambino, Cardi B, Billie Eilish, Casey Musgraves, Gary Clark Jr., The Raconteurs, Judah and the Lion, and a whole bunch more that I didn't recognize. Those were just like the big ones that stuck out to me.
Third Eye Blind's in that as well.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, no. I got a message from my friend going, hey, you want to go to Austin? I'm like, no. No.
Austin's on my bucket list of things to do.
Mine too.
It's just always so expensive, the flights. So that's a little bit on the at the end of the list just for now. But I've heard good things about Austin City Limits. And then Bryan Adams and Billy Idol announced a tour together.
That's out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because we were talking about that on our 80s glam rock hair metal episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're into if you're missing the 80s nostalgia at all, go check out that tour. And Annie, what about you? Did you have any recent tour festival announcements that you were excited about?
Not really. Marin added dates. So I'm actually going tomorrow and excited about that.
You're gonna go see her tour tomorrow?
I am.
Oh, that's exciting.
I'll report back. I actually saw that email as we've been chatting. But yeah, I mean, ACL was the big one I saw. And then I just keep like being late to stuff. So like I got a text today about Hangout Fest and I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing, you know.
Oh, what is Hangout Fest?
I don't know. The one that I really want to go to this year is at the Gorge, right? So the name of the venue? At the Gorge in George, Washington. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's like the second prettiest venue after Red Rocks. It's like this giant like valley. And it's an outdoor festival. And I hear it's beautiful. So it's kind of like one of my bucket list things. But their lineup, I believe, is announced already. So take a look at that as well.
Nice. Well, I definitely think you should do that. Cross that off your bucket list because, coincidentally enough, this year I am crossing off a concert at Red Rocks, which is it's been on my bucket list.
Did you almost say Red Lobster?
Probably. I can't talk today to save my life. It's ridiculous.
I'm imagining that bucket list of a Red Lobster concert. Cheddar biscuits all night long.
No, Red Rocks Amphitheater in Colorado. But yeah, I'm super excited about that. That'll be in August, so there'll be a whole episode probably just on that alone. So I believe that moves us right along into our feature segment, which is an in-depth review of the Rob Thomas album, Chip 2 Smile, which we have been anxiously awaiting for. And then we're going to dig into his previous solo albums. So do you want to start with his solo albums that came before Chip 2 Smile, or do you want to start with Chip 2 Smile?
Ooh. That's a good question.
Build anticipation. Start with the previous albums.
Yeah, let's do that.
Sorry, I don't know where that came from.
So 2005's Something to Be. His first solo album, him and Matchbox 20 took a little bit of a break, and he ventured out and did something on his own. First single, Lonely No More. This is where I need Rich's research skills because I didn't do my homework. I want to say this was a number one single, but I'm not sure.
I got you. Give me
it must have been. I would be shocked if it weren't. That was a big song.
Yeah, it's so different than what we were used to from Matchbox 20, but it was still like this fresh sound.
The song,
and I think it just really surprised people. Go ahead.
The song peaked at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100
really?
and number 3 in Australia.
Wow, I'm glad I didn't put money on that.
So I thought this was a great album, especially for like his first solo attempt. And this one, I think the standout tracks, other than the two singles, Lonely No More and This Is How a Heart Breaks, Ever the Same is one of my favorite songs by him ever. When the Heartache Ends is a great song. Something to Be, Problem Girl, Street Corner Symphony, I know was another single, I think.
Okay.
And then
Street Corner Symphony, I'm interrupting you. Street Corner Symphony is one of my favorite songs ever written ever, and I think it like sounds like happiness to me.
It does sound like happiness. I will agree with that. But I'm really surprised that it's one of your favorite songs ever.
Oh my god, the vibe. It just like sounds like sunshine and like walking around a city and like feeling good about life.
Yeah, I definitely get that.
I guess that's what I was doing in 2005. I was a senior in high school, so I was like owning shit. Whatever.
To go to the opposite end of that, Now Comes the Night is probably one of the most depressing songs, but it's also probably one of my favorite songs of all time. And I think I told you this, that the song came on one day when I was on my way home from work, and I was just really listening to the lyrics, and it was one of those moments where you're like, man, like, this is the song I want played at my funeral. That's what I thought.
We did talk about that. I feel like it's one of those songs that I love so much, but, like, so I'll listen to it, like, repeatedly, like, you know, loud, nice speakers, the whole thing. But, like, once you hit, like, the 6th round, you're like, I'm in the darkest place ever. It's a very intense experience. You kind of have to, like, balance the two.
Yeah, that's for sure. But, no, I mean, we've talked about this before, like, his songwriting skills are just, they're untouchable. Like, there's nobody else that writes like him.
Yeah, he's got a cool, you know, I mean, to touch on, like, the new one for a second, like, he's, you know, the line about all my tears were crocodile. Like,
yes.
like the flip of that phrase to separate the two, like crocodile tears is obviously like a thing, but I feel like they aren't often separated in the way he used it in that verse. It really caught my ear, and he does stuff like that a lot. And it's cool. It makes him, I don't know, it makes him really cool as a songwriter.
Absolutely. Some of his best songs aren't even singles.
Yeah,
that's what's crazy.
Agree completely. And that was one of my notes for the new album when we get there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, the way, like, he's easily, like, hands down, one of music's best singers and songwriters. Just one of the best performers, also, that I've ever seen.
Yeah, and kind of underrated as a songwriter. I mean,
really underrated. Like, as praised as he is by many, he's still underrated.
Yeah, I agree. Like, yeah, I think that, like, something happens when you're a pop writer, but you're not, like, a Max Martin pop writer. Which is that, like, people kind of feel like that's not, like, real songwriting, kind of. And I think that's a really big misstep because, like, I mean, I could rant for a long time about how pop is, like, I don't know, underrated or, like, cheesed out of being considered real art by people or, like, whatever. But, like, I don't know. I think that it sort of pigeonholes some writers who are really, really, really talented.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. People tend to label Rob Thomas and Matchbox 20 in general, like, just, like, adult contemporary, like, pop rock, whatever. And, like, he's even, like, said this before, like, himself, like, in interviews that, like, his music gets played, like, in grocery stores, and, like, that's how people know him. And for a long time, like, people thought, like, he was, like, the lead singer of the Goo Goo Dolls. It's just, like, you know how casual music fans, like, hear songs and that's it. And I'm like, they have two different, like, two very distinct, like, voices, like, two very different, distinct voices. Like, how do you confuse those two?
I've been told that Matchbox 20 was a one-hit wonder, and I'm like, do you know how many hits they have? Do you know how many songs of theirs that you can name?
Like, whoever said that to you,
smacked.
Yeah, whoever said that to you, I want to slap with a Pop-Tart.
Wow. Specific.
Yeah, their catalog, every time I go back and listen to, I just put all their stuff on shuffle, and I'm just, like, you don't skip any songs. There's just, it's just
they're fabulous.
Insane.
I'm just angry at someone saying that.
And you've got people who are like, wait, who's Rob Thomas again? I'm like, really? Like, how do you not know this?
The guy who helped Santana with Smooth. That's my argument.
And that's a totally another, like, that song did so much for him. I was just listening to an interview today, actually, with him about that song, and let me find it. Sorry, guys. I'm a little disorganized today. So doing Smooth, it just opened up more doors for him. And so I want to say Carlos, so it was Rob's voice on the demo, and people were asking him, like, asking Carlos about who they wanted to sing on the song for him, and, like, they were possibly, like, talking about, like, somebody else doing it, and Carlos is like, no, like, I like that guy's voice. Like, does he sing? And it's like, oh my god, does he sing? Like, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I know. And this was after, I think, like, the first two Matchbox 20 albums. So at this point, like, If You're Gone was already, like, a huge hit.
Oh my god.
Now, I mean, aside from, like, the millions of records that Yourself or Someone Like You sold. But it's great. Like, now, like, Rob's always saying, like, how him and, like, Uncle Carlos are, like, they talk constantly and everything.
Uncle Carlos.
That's what he refers to him as. Like, can you imagine? He showed this picture in this YouTube video of him at the Grammys the year that Smooth won all those awards. And it's, like, him, Carlos Santana, and Clive Davis.
Oh, my God.
And, like, how, like, those are, like, his two, like, mentors and friends. And it's like, oh, wow.
We've talked about this, I'm sure, and if we haven't, like, I am apologizing on behalf of, like, being a bad friend, but you've seen the video of him and Charles Kelly doing it, right?
Yes.
Okay, and, good.
I wish those videos were still up on YouTube.
Oh, so yeah.
Like, that was a CMT Crossroads, Charles Kelly and Rob
occasionally
Thomas.
About, like, recording that, and no one ever responds to me. But I'm going to keep doing it because, you know, I think it's important, and I think I'm doing the Lord's work here.
Absolutely. I think that was actually one of the conversations that one of the things we talked about in our first like phone conversation.
Of course it was. This is why we're friends. Because we're both passionate about this collaboration.
Yes. Like
I could have a heart attack and die. I'm not surprised.
That was like the most perfect duet I've ever heard. Like them doing each other's songs with one another. Like it was just amazing.
Yeah. And then Charles Kelly falling to the ground afterwards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, I need those videos back in my life. I just watched them over and over. So I know the song, he like Rob Thomas said before that the song Ever the Same was written for his wife.
Okay.
And, like I feel like just like what an incredible idea for that, like that song, like the idea and the sentiment that someone wants to be there for someone as they're falling apart and like to be that one that holds them when they can't even stand. So like the lines and the lyrics in that song, you may need me there to carry all your weight, but you're no burden, I assure. You tied me over with a warmth I'll not forget, but I can only give you love. Like really, like phenomenal songwriting. Like you.
Yeah, and he's also one of those writers that like can make it really melodically interesting, really like up tempo or mid tempo, but still have a lyric that when you go back, it's like, whoa, oh, okay.
And something else he said in an interview recently is like he's very in the moment when he's writing songs. Like he writes about like what he's trying to convey in that moment. He doesn't like think too hard. Like and he's not one who's chased radio hits either. He's just written as they come, you know. It's always like when he's inspired, which I think like which I think like what we're used to now in the country genre is like people like have scheduled writing sessions and they go into a write like and like they have to go in there with ideas to try and get the story out, which is fine. Like that's a fine approach. Like obviously it's worked out. But I also really like this idea of just writing in the moment too, which I mean, country artists do this as well, but I don't know, there's something about like the way Rob Thomas does it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think like to put it more broadly, it's really interesting the way that creatives choose to harness inspiration and choose to like ask it to arrive at their doorstep kind of. And like different people have totally different processes for that. Yeah, in country often it's like, okay, we're writing at 10 a.m. on Thursday. And sometimes it shows up and sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
And, you know, I feel like other people write by themselves. Other people, like, drop everything. I don't know if you've seen the TED Talk with Elizabeth Gilbert where she's talking about inspiration and sort of, like, and creativity and, like, the Greek, I think, idea that, like, it's just, like, this thing in the ether that visits you from time to time and you put it down on paper and that's, you know. But I think it was Tom Petty, she said, was driving one time and, like, he got this like stroke of inspiration. He literally like looked up at the sky and yelled, "Can't you see that I'm driving?" It's like, well, yeah, okay, awesome. That happens too.
Yeah, like it was. I think I was listening to an interview today or yesterday with these two girls, the two podcast hosts, and with this other artist, and they were talking about like when do you get like your best ideas, and the person was talking about how, well, I tend to get a lot of my great ideas when I'm in the shower because there's no pressure. Like you're just like you're not thinking, you just let your mind free. But the problem is you're in the shower, so you have no way of getting your idea out. And by the time you get out of the shower, like you've completely lost your train of thought, and like you don't put it in the same words that you had like in your mind. And that happens to me constantly, and it's so annoying. So I can only imagine, like, I totally relate to Tom Petty saying that.
Right? It's like, yo, I'm busy here. 1 second.
Like, can you like get back to me? Like, 5
yeah, right? Don't go anywhere, but hold on.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
And then, so Cradle Song, his 2009 album, we had to wait 4 more years after the release of his first solo album.
Which is a trend with his albums.
Yes. This would go on to become a trend. So I thought this was overall kind of a better album, I think, in terms of just everything. I mean, the songwriting, the music, but just a fantastic follow-up either way.
Yeah.
And then this one, I think, produced more singles as well. Her Diamonds was a big song, which also was written about his wife. And then I love Gasoline. Someday was a big hit. Mockingbird was really good. Real World '09, Fire on the Mountain, Hard on You, which is probably one of my favorite songs ever, especially by Rob. And then Snowblind was good, and Getting Late was really good too. I think Mockingbird in particular is an underrated song, and I love how he incorporates like that nursery rhyme reference in his lyrics for this song about two people who couldn't make a relationship work no matter how hard they tried. I don't know how familiar you are with this song in particular.
Like medium.
Okay.
Continue.
So I actually confession, the first time I saw him solo, which was a few years ago, when he co-headlined with Counting Crows, he performed this one, and I wasn't familiar with it. I hadn't really dug deep into this album at that time, which was weird, I know. But so I went back and listened to it. I think it was just one of those songs that I kind of skipped over. And it was just a really great song. So I definitely recommend going back and listening to that if you get the chance to. But Hard on You is easily my favorite song on this album.
Yeah, I'm going to have to re-listen to some of the album cuts on here because obviously the singles were huge, like you said. But I'm not recalling as many as I should have, and I'm embarrassed about that. But yeah.
So Hard on You had some of just the oh god, I'm going to just read these lyrics to you guys, some of them, because they're so relatable in my opinion. So one of them that I love is, because I didn't mean to be mean when I said all the things I said to you, but maybe the worst is the best I can do with you. This idea that the person you want to be with kind of brings out the worst in you when you're together, or that you should be better to them and with them, but you can't, and so you do the best that you can, even though it may not seem like it. I feel like only he could describe that kind of scenario so beautifully.
Yeah,
I don't know, there's just something about that just always sticks to me every time I hear that song.
I love that concept. Do you know who Rick Brantley is?
I feel like the name sounds familiar.
So he's an artist. He's based in Nashville, kind of I don't know, indie country alt rock ish maybe.
Okay.
He tours with Kiefer Sutherland a good bit. But he had a song called Waterloo, and he had a podcast about the song called Waterloo, and in it, he and his co-writer Mark Selby discussed the fact that sometimes two people are kind of tectonic plates that just don't connect the right way. The core of who they are, it doesn't work. And I always love that line, and I think about it once a week, and I'm like, wow. And so reading that, it sort of, I don't know, kind of dovetails nicely with that concept, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, I can't say enough good things about that song. It's just, again, go back and listen to it more closely. It's just, his songwriting I've said this before, he writes for the soul. He writes from his soul, and he writes he's to speak to other people's souls. It's just, I don't know, yeah, he has those songs that are just catchy and whatever, but I feel like those songs are few and far between, the ones that are just there for the background or there to make you feel good. The rest of his songs, though, for the most part, are all they're meant to leave an impact on you.
Yeah,
I don't know, I just feel like he just reaches in and pulls, he just knows how to pull on your rip your heart out.
Yeah.
That's just what he does.
Yes, he do.
And God, I don't know, I cannot say enough. I'm not explaining it well at all, eloquently at all, but yeah, I can't say enough good things about his songwriting in general.
Yeah.
I thought Fire on the Mountain has what I feel like is a bit of a folky sound to it.
Okay.
It kind of adds something a little bit different to the album that really stands out. And then Getting Late has also a bit of that folky campfire kind of feel to it. But it's just a little a cute little feel good song. And I think the album ends with that song, but I could be wrong.
I'm looking at the extended, the bonus track version, so
Okay.
But you're touching on something that I think he does successfully across all of these, which is that like he makes them kind of diverse. I mean, not super diverse. Like it's not like a Zac Brown experimental moment, but like he does like I don't know. He knows how to write things that don't all sound the same. And I think that can be sort of like easy to fall into. But he doesn't ever, and I really like that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that as well. He doesn't write the same song twice, which is very important with somebody with his kind of catalog behind him.
That was the eloquent way to put it, yes.
And then, so his third album, 2015's The Great Unknown. So he's come out and said that this was his kind of like almost like experimental album. It was him trying something different, like a different style. And immediately after like it was released, like he didn't like it. And so I like, again, this was after like, so after this album release, I remember seeing him on his solo tour with Counting Crows, and he only performed one song, I believe, off of this album, which was Pieces, because that was like a more like traditional Rob Thomas song,
which isn't even my favorite off this album.
Yeah, so that was the only song that he performed live off that album, which I thought, like, looking back on it then, I never understood why, and then like hearing him do these interviews now, for all the press for Chip Suit Smile, hearing him explain that, I was like, oh, well, that explains it. Like, you not like him not liking this, like that album, explains why he wouldn't want to do any of the songs live from there.
Interesting. Strange. Interesting.
Yeah, but it really was a different style for him. Like, I mean, I liked the album when it came out, and I'm like, I still do, but compared to the rest of his work, it doesn't hold up to the rest of it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I mean, it's even different from Lonely No More and This Is How a Heart Breaks, and that's saying something considering like how different those songs are from the other kind of songs that he does.
Yeah.
I think my least favorite song off of The Great Unknown was the first single, Trust You. I'm not sure why he chose that as lead single, to be honest with you.
I mean, what you're saying makes me wonder if he did choose it as the lead single.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like he has more creative control with his choices and stuff, but yeah, I guess that's something like could be a case where like maybe his label chose Trust You.
Re-listening to this, I really liked I Think We'd Feel Good Together. I was like, man, yeah, that was a great song.
Yeah, no, I like that too. Yeah, like when the album first came out, like I really liked how like it kind of like had like a more like upbeat like pop like kind of dance feel to it. And yeah, I think We Feel Good Together was a perfect example of that.
Yeah, you know, I was thinking that when I was listening through as well, because Chip Suit Smile doesn't have a lot of those up-tempo moments. And this whole album starts off like partying. And I thought it was interesting that I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and then I think other than Pieces, Hold On Forever was the only song that got radio play.
Yeah, I think that's true.
The songs that I really liked, well, not that I liked the most, but the ones that I thought were more traditional Rob Thomas off of the Great Unknown album were the title track, The Great Unknown, and then Paper Dolls and Lie to Me. I think those ones stood out the most after Pieces.
Yeah, I like those a lot too.
Yeah, I mean, so overall, like, it wasn't a bad album. It just doesn't hold up to the rest of his catalog.
Yeah, I would agree.
And then that brings us to currently with his latest album, Chip Suit Smile. I'm so glad this album is here. I cannot tell you how much I freaking love this album.
I have mixed feelings. We'll chat, no. But I have mixed. No, not like terrible mixed. I just like. I have high expectations for him, and not everything on it met my high expectations for him.
I mean, okay, so I can kind of see that. Like, there was maybe one or two songs that like I could have done without, but I didn't think it took away from how incredible the album is still.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And like, I mean, do you want me to just dig in a little bit?
Yeah, go for it.
My overarching feel about this album is that he's at his best right now when he's not trying too hard.
Yes. Yes.
If that makes sense. So like the songs that stood out to me as my favorites, like listening through like initially, were Can't Help Me Now and Funny. And yes. I love them both. And I was like, okay, like it's not the single. It's like I also like Breathe Out. I felt like he wanted to be a really big moment. And
that's my favorite song on this album.
Is it? Well, then I won't say anything too negative. I just like, I felt like I did like it. I like that one stood out to me as well. But I felt like he was trying to make that a moment, putting it last, all that stuff in a way that like Can't Help Me Now, for instance, like, or like, which is the one with the crocodile one? Funny.
Yeah, I think it was Funny.
Yes. Like I thought that was great. Like, and just things like lines, like, it's just, I don't know. I feel like he didn't, something about it. It's just like really subtle and like subtly fabulous. Like, I was raised on a fault line. Thought the faults were all mine. Like, I just love that couplet, you know, the same with what I was saying with the crocodile tears and whatever. Like, I just think it's really subtle and really fabulous. And like those were the moments on this album that like really grabbed me. Like things like the single I like, but I'm not like, wow, oh my god. And then like Man to Hold the Water, I think it was one of the other up tempos. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like it didn't really do much for me.
I don't think that was an up tempo one. I think that was more of like this album's like folky kind of song.
Which one? Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Either that or I don't know. I just wasn't. I don't know. The up-tempos didn't super move me.
We Were Beautiful was a little bit more up tempo.
That must be what I'm thinking of then.
And then the most up tempo one was I Love It, but I also love that song.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's the things that I don't love are things that I didn't dislike and that I'm sure will grow on me. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just hard because like he wrote Street Corner Symphony. And, like, they're smooth. And, like, push. And, like, I mean, if you go to the Matchbox 20 catalog, too, like, it's just, like minutes and minutes and minutes and minutes and minutes of, like, incredible. Like, some of the best songwriting of the past 30 years. And then, like, in my opinion. So, like, when I hear something that isn't the best songwriting of the past 30 years, I'm like, oh, you know, he missed. Like, okay.
But then, like, the rest of the album, like, makes up for it. Like, So the only two songs, like I said, like I could really like do without on this album were We Were Beautiful, but even that one, like I'm starting to like learn to like it more than I initially did. Mm-hmm. And so even Timeless, like I think I played that one for somebody when it first came out as a single, before the album was released, and then the person was like, I don't really get it. And now that they're listening to the album in its entirety, they're like, I get it. Like all of the different 80s references that that he drops in there. And like, it was meant to, like, that was all intentional. Like, it wasn't like him, like it wasn't something that happened by accident. Like, he genuinely, like, the whole aesthetic for this album is like an 80s kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, I mean, even the styling, which I was going to comment on too, not to get back to style, but I love the cover art. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a throwback to George Michael, who he's a huge fan of.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I want that jacket.
And that was, and he keeps like he's been wearing those because he has a couple of different ones of them, those jean jackets on every like live performance and interview he does now, with all the press coverage for Chip Shoot Smile. But yeah, no. So, and that was part of one of the reasons why he chose Butch Walker to produce this album, or as he puts it, he manifested Butch Walker to produce this album.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard this story or not. So for like a year, he was going around telling people like that he ran into like people like, oh, like what's going on, you know? And he's like, oh, well, actually, I'm working on an album with Butch Walker. Hadn't even talked to Butch about it, right? So then finally, like after a year of this, Rob's like, man, well, I keep telling everyone I'm working on this album with Butch. I guess I should probably tell Butch and make sure that he can actually do it.
Oh my god.
So it was one of those things where like he really like manifested it into happening. Because can you imagine like if Butch had told him like, sorry dude, like I can't,
like awkward,
going around telling all these people, right? Exactly.
I want to be cool enough that I can just say I'm doing something with Butch Walker and it happens. Like,
I know, right? Like if only that worked that way for the rest of us.
Seriously.
But yeah, I think there's only one song on here that Butch Walker didn't produce. It was somebody else that did. And I believe Rob Thomas also said that every other record previously done by Rob Thomas and Matchbox 20, like every other record was produced by Matt Serletic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This was the first time that he chose somebody else to produce an album for him. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't anything like Matt, I guess, is like one of his like best friends and everything, but he just kind of wanted like a different vibe for the album, a different feeling for it. And with this aesthetic being, 80s, that was something that him and Butch kind of shared, was like a love for.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and it really worked out. I think the first single, One Less Day, was a really great first single to go with.
Yeah.
And then I love it. He said he wrote with his son, actually, his 19-year-old or his 20-year-old son, or he's going to be 20 or 21. Yeah, so until all this press coverage for Chip to Smile started, I didn't even know Rob Thomas had a son. Because that's not with his wife, Mari.
Oh, interesting. I don't know that either.
Yeah. But so,
Drama.
and so his son is a musician. And so Rob kind of had the music for I Love It. Like, he just didn't have like really like the lyrics for it. And then that was something that kind of happened like with his son. They were kind of working on it together, I believe.
That's cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. So I think that was something kind of different, something that he doesn't have on any of the other albums. And then
in case anyone didn't know and was wondering, like I just was, by the way, Rob Thomas is his real full legal name.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Because country artists have two first names as their artist name.
With so country artists, you never know. Exactly.
Or like, have you seen the Chrissy Teigen tweets when they were having their second child? And they were like, oh, name it like whatever Legend. And she's like, Legend isn't John's last name, right? We're like, what?
That's hilarious.
Right.
And it's kind of funny that, like, so Rob Thomas grew up on country music. He's from South Carolina. Well, so he was born in Germany, I believe, and then like he moved at like 6 months old, like to South Carolina. So he was raised here. But yeah. So he's that's why I think like his voice had like a slight bit of that like little kind of like twang to it. But yeah, so he was influenced originally growing up by like Conway Twitty and Willie Nelson and who he's gotten to write with before, and that actually happened after the success of Smooth with Carlos.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. You can kind of hear it in his like adherence to lyric, even when there's a melody that distracts from the lyric.
Yeah, I think his ability to tell a story kind of comes from like him growing up on the traditional country music.
Yeah.
I thought that the standout tracks were Can't Help Me Now, obviously. Funny, I absolutely love. I think It's Only Love is really good too. And then Breathe Out, like I said, is my favorite song on the album. And I think it ends the album perfectly. Like just like lyrically, like and melodic, like everything, like it ends the album perfectly. I mean it's full of highs and lows, and it'll make you want to dance, cry, rip your heart out, and puts it back together. There's so many emotions happening on this album. But none of it feels forced. None of it feels, like, in my opinion, like out of order either. Like, I think it happens very naturally and cohesively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that.
I also think One Less Day deserves to win a Grammy this year. And I really hope it does.
I agree.
It's just such a powerful and important message that we have right now. And for anyone who wasn't listening before when we talked about this, so he was inspired to write this song after a conversation that he had with Adam Duritz from Counting Crows. And they were talking about how, like just how many people that they've lost in the music industry alone, like friends of theirs. And then how, everyone talks about how it sucks getting older, and, well, the alternative to that is pretty bleak, And I think it was Adam. Rob said that Adam was the one who said like, well, how did he put it? It's like literally like, it's one less. I forget how he put it exactly, but like, for every day that you're alive, that's one less day. I don't know. I don't know. I forget exactly how he put it, but yeah. So that's basically where the song came from there.
That's really cool, man. Speaking of like lyrically thoughtful people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Adam Duritz is in a whole nother category by himself. Like,
yeah. The first verse of Round Here. Oh my god.
Yeah. And then, and there's somebody who's some of his lyrics like just make you scratch your head and go, what?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think this is definitely Rob's best solo album so far.
Okay.
That is I don't agree with you. Okay, I know that.
Well, it's not like how could you say that? I just like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that statement on the whole.
So, but like, I mean, of his solo records, like, which one would you put above this?
So, like, okay, so here's the thing: is like, it's a taste thing, which is that like Street Corner Symphony is like floating my opinion of everything he's ever done like so high. I'm like, that album is good and like it's fine and it's whatever, but Street Corner Symphony is incredible. So like that boat is floating so high in the water, you know?
Gotcha. So you'd put something to be above it just because of Street Corner Symphony?
I would put like that album just because of Street Corner Symphony over like a lot of things. But it's such oh man. It's just such a mood. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get that. I just think, I don't know. See, I go by, like, the album that has, like, more, like...
Like, the most good songs, like a normal person? Yeah.
I mean, not just that, though, but I mean, like I said, like, Hard on You, like, will still be, like, one of my favorite songs ever. But, I mean, this album, like, it's got some amazing songwriting on this album. I mean, which is no surprise, like we said before, like coming from Rob Thomas. But I mean, this album, he really like went above and beyond, and like not intentionally. It's like he's not chasing anything. He's just writing like based on like how he's inspired. But he really like just completely nailed it, in my opinion.
Well, it's cool to see someone like that like change and grow. I mean, he's been writing songs for a really long time now, and like sort of to like. Not necessarily the same audience, but like the sound hasn't changed a ton, you know? Right. Like he's not like getting jazzy or getting R&B or like whatever. Like sonically, it's a little bit of folk, but it's pretty much the same sort of like, I don't know, palette he's working with, I guess. Yeah. But it's cool to see the ways that it differentiates itself.
Right. And he brought that up in an interview that he did, where he was saying, like, at the time when Unwell came out, like, in the 2000s, I think it was, or was it in the late 90s? You know, at the time that song came out, like, at the top of the charts, there was Unwell, which was, like, nothing else. And then the rest was, like, Nelly and Ludacris and Backstreet Boys, I think. You know, like, there was, like, nobody else on that chart like him or, like, Matchbox 20 or, like, that song, Unwell. Which just goes to say that, like, there is still, like, even when music is going in a completely different direction, like, as long as, like, he does what he does best, there's always going to be room for him on the charts. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And then he also said that, in the same interview, that whenever he's making new music or writing new songs, he's always running against the ghost of himself. Yeah, which is really cool. Like, he's always trying to be better than the last version of himself. You know what I mean? Like music wise, which I think is really interesting. I mean, yes, everyone tries to be better, but he's not trying to be better than anyone else. He's just trying to be better than his own, like, better than the last thing he did. Like, he's always trying to get better, but I don't know. I'm not explaining it well at all.
I think that's a really hard mental space.
Yeah, like, you listen to him talk, and he's so eloquent. Like, I could listen to him talk for hours.
Yeah. Well, like, it's funny. This is kind of a different thing, but it's funny, like, the way that artists that are great in lyric are in person, because you have to be kind of like a great thinker to write great lyrics. But also, like, then you have someone like John Mayer who writes these really, like, thoughtful, perceptive, aware lyrics and then says things like the sexual napalm thing, which I know was a super long time ago, but, like, so was no such thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and so, like, it's interesting the ways that people, like are media trained and tell their story and talk about their process compared with, like, the ways that they put it into their art.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah, it's just I'll never, like, I could never do what songwriters do.
Amen. It's too small a format. I need 500 pages for extended metaphors.
Right? God, I can barely get through a freaking album review without, like, rambling on.
Mm-hmm.
Takes me forever to get to the point. Like, I can't imagine, like, doing it in, like, 2 minutes. 2 to 3 minutes.
I mean, I guess it's a good, like, writing exercise, but, like, I'm not going to choose that life. I like my metaphors.
It's been 23 years since Yourself or Someone Like You was released. Yeah, if that doesn't make you feel old.
Yeah, it does.
He said that their
one of the first albums I ever had.
Yeah. That's still to this day one of my favorite albums of all time. Probably my number one favorite, to be honest with you. And it's funny. So he loves playing those songs because it's a different experience every time he plays them, like, that he gets to share with his fans. But he can't listen, like, he can't go back and listen to those songs. Like, he can't hear them, like, on the radio or something. I guess because, like, the way he puts it is there's, like, recording wise, like, what they were able to do then, like, does not hold up today. And I guess you have to be a musician to really, like, understand that, because I hear those songs and I'm like, this is freaking the greatest thing I've ever heard.
Jam.
Like,
yeah.
But I guess for a musician, like, who deals more with, like, the technical aspect of it, I can see where they would probably, like, feel that way.
In the course of, like, interviews that I've done over the years, like, I've asked artists about that, like, how do you know when a song is done, either in the writing or in the production or whatever? And, like, they're usually like, it's kind of a feel. But I've had people be like, you know, like, I'll listen to it, like, 5 years later and come up with a better line and be mad at myself. So, you know, like, I think in some ways, like, it's just the, you know.
Yeah, I think like, if you're a perfectionist, like, something's never going to be done. You know what I mean? Like, there's always going to be something more you could add to it. Just like how we feel, like, with our, you know, when we write an article.
Yeah, well, I think, too, like, if you don't listen to that older stuff that you've done and, like, feel a sense of, like, oh, like, I can't show this to people, like, that means you haven't grown at all as a creative, you know?
Yeah.
Like, which I guess means it's bad that I'm still proud of things I wrote, like, 10 years ago. But, you know, like, I don't know. I think there's a bit of that, too.
Yeah. No, I definitely get what you're saying. And in, you know, speaking in terms of Rob Thomas, like, I think he's definitely gotten better. Only gotten better over the years. Like, going back to Chip Toot Smile, I think the songwriting on this album, he's always been ahead of his time, I feel like, but this songwriting is, like, it's very mature and thought-provoking. I think each song has its own special message, and vocally he's really, I mean, he's always on point, but I feel like he's really, like, on point, like, the whole way through this album.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And then, so there was only one song on here that wasn't produced by Butch. I don't remember what song it was, though. I want to say it might have been early. I don't think, it might have been We Were Beautiful. I think that might have been it, but don't quote me on it.
Quoting you.
Early in the Morning. So, I know Timeless has that whole 80s feel to it intentionally, and they drop all these different references and stuff to different 80s songs from that time period. But Early in the Morning specifically, he said that has that Phil Collins In the Air Tonight vibe. Like, I don't know if it's, like, a certain vibe to it or if it's like a riff or a note or whatever. But it's there on purpose. Like, they actually got permission to use that because he knew that they couldn't, like, come up with their own version of that or, like, repeat that in some kind of way with their own twist to it. So they just got permission to use it. Yeah, I don't know if it was like a certain like riff or chord.
Interesting.
But yeah, and I think that song's a jam on the album.
Yeah, I agree. I like that one.
And then I think I told you both this when the album first came out. So Breathe Out, like I said already, easily my favorite song on the album, and quickly becoming like one of my favorite songs by him in general. So there's the lyrics in this song. It's just the way he, again, going back to the way he writes. So when all that's inside you is screaming for rescue, breathe out again. Like, it's so simple. Like, it seems like such a simple concept, but I mean, you can't. Not just anyone can write like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just
yeah.
It's just the way he puts it. He's like, that weight on your shoulders is worse when you're older. When the life you live is fallen short of what you want, but it's all that you can give. Like, I mean, he just gets right to your soul. Like, I don't know how else to describe it.
And his melodies are cool. It doesn't package it in a way that feels like it's been done.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. He, like we said earlier, he doesn't repeat himself at all. Like, he doesn't make the same kind of song twice, and he's not trying to imitate anyone else either.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, like, duh, but it's really cool when artists do that. Like he doesn't really have to prove anything, obviously. Mm-hmm. So like, there's a lot of freedom in that, like, awareness, you know.
Right, and was one of the things that he said in an interview too. That at this point in his life, like, no, like, the only person he's proving anything to is like himself, which is great because like it does give him that freedom, like you said, to just be like the best that he can be. And like the way he puts it was like it's more of like a need to be understood that keeps him going. And like when I heard that, I wanted to be like, Rob, like, I get you, dude.
Yeah, right. You are heard. You are seen.
Like, I understand you.
Right.
The Worst in Me, I love that song. The idea that the worst in me can bring out the best in you. The stain on your heart in the shape of a name carved there by me. Oh, like,
wow, that's great.
I know. Take it all as it comes, fight it out till it's done. All the weight and the blame in the end were the same.
Yeah.
This, like,
waxing poetic.
I know, right? Yeah, just this album is just, I don't know, like, from front, like, I've had it on repeat since it came out. So he's one of those artists, him, Matchbox 20. Their music is just, it's very calming, and I don't mean that in a sense where, like, you can put an album on just because, like, it's boring and you can maybe fall asleep to it or whatever. Like, his music is calming. Like, you put it on, like, when you're in a good mood. You can put it on when you're in a, like, not a great mood, like when you're sad or whatever. But also when you just, like, need to quiet out the noise around you, and you just need something to, like, bring you back to, like, a sense of, like, peace. This is, like, he's one of those artists where you can put almost any one of his albums on or any one of his songs, and it immediately, like, makes you feel better.
Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know, a flavor for every emotional color, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, people are probably sick of hearing me gush about Rob Thomas, but
not me. It's been a whole conversation for, like, the past 6 months.
Yeah, I don't know. There's people that just casually listen to music and, like, they can just they hear the words, but they're not, like, really hearing them, and so it doesn't mean as much to them. Like, there's somebody I work with that he doesn't get, like, he's not a lyric person, and I get, like, some people, like, aren't lyric people, but he's like, no, like, if it's just not catchy, then, like, that's just it. Like, I don't really care about the lyrics. And I'm like, as a music fan, like, how do you not care about the lyrics? Like, yeah, obviously, like, the melody, the beat, everything, like, it has to draw you in. But after that, like, it's all about the lyrics. Like, yeah, there's certain songs that are meant to just be, you know, earworm mute, like, you know, like, just to be catchy and, like, a guilty pleasure or whatever. Like, yeah, like, there's songs like that. But then, like, for the most part, there's just, it's meant to bring some kind of emotion out of you. If it's not doing that, then the artist isn't doing their job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
And, I mean, for that reason alone, I think that, I mean, Rob Thomas is just one of music's best artists. Like, people can fight me on that all they want, but it's just it's just music that makes you feel. Yeah, right? StringingAChordOfficial@gmail.com.
Yeah, no, agree. It's sunshine. Street Corner Symphony.
That's what it makes you feel like, sunshine?
Yes, it makes me feel like a ray of sunshine. No, just kidding.
Until somebody, like, bumps into you out on the street, right?
Yeah, right. Then you fight them. That's a different song.
That's a Limp Bizkit or no, Ludacris.
That's a Sum 41 song that you told me to listen to today.
Dude, I'm not kidding you. Like, every time, like, because I take the train, 2 trains actually, for to and from work, and, like, people move so slow. Like, and whenever I get stuck behind slow moving people, like, in my head, I'm constantly like that Ludacris song, like, move.
Oh,
yeah,
totally.
get out the way. Like, that's me in my head, like all the time. Like, my whole morning and, like, evening commute.
If you live in a city, there are rules. The rules include: do not stand on the left side of an escalator. Do not walk slow as hell. Do not take up an entire intersection.
Right.
What else?
Get off your phone. If you're gonna talk or look at your phone, then move to the side, out of the way.
Yeah, or learn how to walk. Like, yeah, don't get me started.
There's people who, like, walk up and down the stairs while they're on their phone, and they're going so slow. They're holding up, like, this whole line behind them, and it's like, really?
This is an episode of Live waiting to happen.
Oh my god.
Somehow we've moved on to ranting again.
Oops.
But yeah, Rich, did you have? I know you enjoyed the Rob Thomas album.
Okay, so very few times in my life do I put an album on my playlist as soon as I listen to it for the first time. Not only was it that, but I also cried listening to it when it went crap. Like, I felt it coming. All of a sudden, the next thing I know, I'm just like, so good. Such a good album.
Yeah. He was doing something on Sirius XM over the weekend, and where he was playing the album and, like, talking about it in between songs. And I was in the car with my husband, and you'd think by now, like, being with me for 7 years, that almost 7 years, he would know, like, which artists to talk during and which artists not to talk during. And he just hasn't figured that out yet, because he continued, like, so this came on, and he's like, and he tried talking, and I was like, shh. I was like, wait. And I turned it up, and he went to go turn it down, and I slapped his hand. And he's like, what? He's like, we've heard this already. I was like, first of all, we haven't. I'm like, it's the new album. So no, it hasn't been played on the radio yet. And I was like, now can you be quiet and let me listen to it? And I turned it up, and it was, yeah, this is my life. It was just one of those things where it's like, even if you can't fully, like, relate to the lyrics, like, you just, I don't know if it's, like, in the way that he sings or what, but you just sit there and, like, you can just listen to the lyrics, and it calms you. Like, that's the only way I can explain it. Like, it just makes you feel things that you didn't even know, like, you needed to or could feel.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I think this album definitely had more songs. Like, overall, like, as a whole album, it was consistently better track by track than his previous 3 albums. I know you disagree with me just because of Street Corner Symphony.
Yeah, but that's my own hang up. Don't worry about it.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, there's songs on his previous albums that are going to be just in some of the best songs. Like I said, for me personally, it was Hard on You. And then I know Someday is a big one in Her Diamonds. And Ever the Same is a phenomenal song. Mm-hmm. And then Now Comes the Night, obviously. Yeah. But I think if we're going by just from beginning to end, I think this was a overall better album, his best yet. And I mean, I would go as far as to say, and I predicted this from the beginning, before, as soon as he announced a new album, but I would put this up for best album of the year.
Okay. Into it.
Yeah, I really hope it takes home some awards this year.
Yeah.
I mean, the only other thing I can think of that may take that spot would be a Taylor Swift album if it comes out before the end of the year. But even then, I might still put this above that.
Wow. Bold statement.
I know. Yeah. And I mean, it's not just because, obviously, I'm a huge Rob Thomas fan. And I think that's even an understatement. But I genuinely think, just as a music fan, that this is just, as of right now, it's the best album to come out this year.
It's nice when things add to the landscape of what's existing out there and doing their own, I don't know, when the artist is clearly creating their own thing and not their own thing influenced by what they feel like other people are creating. So,
yeah, I agree. And he's definitely someone that's always just done his own thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so unless either of you have anything else to add, I think that wraps up our Rob Thomas episode.
I got nothing.
Rich?
I got nothing.
Okay. Yeah, so that wraps up episode 7. And
well, technically, if you count the interview, it's episode 8, but
technically, but I'm doing the interviews as bonus episodes.
Gotcha.
So
I counted it as an episode of live, though. It's in the number rotation because it's if I don't put it there, I'm going to get confused.
So next week, obviously we'll have more new music for you. I think there's a few new releases that come out this week. I don't think anything as massive as last week that we had. But and then next week I'm going to be having another special guest on the show. Matt Malone from Y Country in southwestern Michigan will be on the show. He does country radio in Michigan, obviously. So he'll be joining me next week. Well, me and Rich. And we're going to be talking about a bunch of different stuff. We're also going to be touching on the whole women in country music. So tune in for that. And then, yeah.
I'm going to tune in.
Yeah, and then Annie, go ahead and let people know where they can follow you on social media, especially if they're baseball fans.
Yes, well, if you're a country music fan, my website is The Shotgun Seat. And if you are a baseball fan or a music fan, I have a podcast called Pitch by Pitch where we interview ball players about music and artists about baseball.
Which is awesome.
Or if you're a Nats fan, follow me because, whatever.
Annie's also really funny on Twitter.
Oh, thanks. I'm really dumb on Twitter.
No, you're hilarious. Yeah, but I mean, right now, some of this stuff, I can't keep up with just because some of it's just all baseball related.
Yeah, so sorry. That
I don't necessarily know what she's talking about.
Mostly it's the bullpen gave up 5 runs in the 8th inning.
Try being a Royals fan. You just go sit in your corner and bullpen giving up runs. We gave up 7 the other night.
Did you say Orioles or Royals?
Royals.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say the Nats just the Orioles just took the Nats title of having the worst bullpen in baseball. But I feel like no one has a good bullpen right now, so I'm sorry for you as well.
Oh no, we've lost 40 games. Sorry.
My team, it took my team 101 years to win a World Series. Okay.
Yeah, true. That was a good year.
Oh my god, that was the best. I don't think I've ever cried like watching a baseball game before.
I definitely have.
But yeah, and then so make sure you follow Annie on social media. Head over to the Shotgun Seat to check out her work as well as a bunch of other talented writers, and check out her podcast Pitch by Pitch, and then follow us on social media, Striking a Chord or at Striking a Chord on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and go to Apple Podcasts and rate us, leave us a review. Let us know what you like, what you want to hear more of or less of, and how you think we're doing. Preferably 5 stars would be fantastic, but we want your honesty. So whatever you think we're worthy of. Yeah. And then, any questions, comments, or anything, you can send an email to strikingachordofficial@gmail.com. Hate mail can go directly to Rich.
I'm fine with answering hate mail. I don't care.
I think if hate mail is the thing, it has to be Taylor Swifty, and I want clues to where the hate mail is.
Right? What was I going to say? I was going to say something about Taylor Swift, now I can't remember what. Because it all leads back to Taylor Swift. So that's everything we've got going on. And until next time, happy listening.